Hey guys, welcome to Through the Bible Verse by Verse, a plain and simple study of the entire Bible, book by book, chapter by chapter, and verse by verse. We are in Exodus chapter 33. Now, in chapter 32, we looked at the Israelites making the golden calf, and all of the miraculous works that God had done for them, that they seen. It is mind-boggling why they would make a calf and then say, this is the God that brought us out of Egypt. You know, the calf that they just made. Well, that was a grave sin. Moses had to intercede. Later, we will see the Bible says, had not Moses interceded, God would have wiped them out. Okay? But because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he relented. And even with this, we're going to see that there's still going to be some more miraculous, awesome works that's going to happen that God is going to do. So let's get into it. This is the aftermath of the aftermath of their grave sin. So chapter 33, verse 1. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Go, leave here, you and the people you brought up from the land of Egypt to the land I promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, I will give it to your offspring." Kind of interesting. God is saying the people you brought up, and Moses be like, remember, I told you not to send me. All right, my ad lib. Verse 2, I will send an angel ahead of you and will drive out the Canaanites, Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Go up to a land flowing with milk and honey, but I will not go with you because you are a stiff-necked people. Otherwise, I might destroy you on the way. When the people heard this bad news, they mourned and didn't put on their jewelry. Sometimes, and I think maybe all of us could probably relate to this, that haven't we all sinned and felt this grief over it? And especially, God is not holding back, right? He's not holding back. You're stiff-necked people. All right, verse 7. Now Moses took a tent and set it up outside the camp, far away from the camp, and he called it the tent of meeting. Anyone who wanted to consult the Lord would go to the tent of meeting that was outside the camp. Whenever Moses went out to the tent, all the people would stand up, each one at the door of his tent, and they would watch Moses until he entered the tent. And when Moses entered the tent, the pillar of cloud would come down and remain at the entrance of the tent, and the Lord would speak with Moses. And as all the people saw the pillar of cloud remaining at the entrance of the tent, they would stand up, then bow and worship, each one at the the door of his tent. Then the Lord spoke with Moses face to face, just as a man speaks with his friends. Then Moses would return to the camp, but his assistant, the young man Joshua, son of Nun, would not leave the inside of the tent. Moses said to the Lord, "Look." Now, keep this in mind that this was the way they tell stories. Let me tell you this, the way they tell the story sometimes. One of the best ways to kind of look at this is they would tell the story. So let's say, for example, you got the 40-year journey. They may tell you pretty much to give you the whole gist of the 40 years. And then they come back and tell you very specific details. And so this is one of these cases where he said Moses spoke to the Lord face to face. Well, now he's going to come back and give us more details on that. Verse 12, Moses said to the Lord, "Look, you have told me, lead this people up, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. You said, I know you by name, and you have also found favor in my sight. Now, if I indeed have found favor in your sight, please teach me your ways, and I will know you and find favor in your sight. Now consider that this nation is your people." Then he replied, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. If your presence does not go, Moses responded to him, don't make us go up from here. How will it be known that I and your people have found favor in your sight unless you go with us? I and your people will be distinguished by this from all other peoples on the face of the earth. Kind of interesting here, because I'm kind of thinking, hadn't he not already done that? The mighty signs and the wonders. Verse 17, the Lord answered Moses, I will do this very thing you have asked, for you have found favor in my sight, and I know you by name. Then Moses said, please let me see your glory. He said, I will cause my goodness to pass in front of you, and I will proclaim the name Yahweh before you. And I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. But he answered, you cannot see my face, for no one can see me and live. Now this has been known, seemed like since the very beginning of man, and especially the sinful man. And keep this in mind, that one of the, go to the book of Revelations and read Revelations 22, and it is interesting that what is said there in the ultimate promise of God is that we will see his face. In other words, all creation, what will be restored during that time, that all creation will see his face. So when he says here in verse 20, but you cannot see my face, for no one can see me and live. So that has been the standard. No one has actually seen the face of God. Jesus revealed him. In John 1 it says. We're going to see what's going to happen here, what Moses will actually see. And he said, but no one can see my face and live. That is going to be done away with in the end. All right, we will see his face. God will dwell among us. Right now, we, especially during this time, they see through the angel. Verse 22. Now, verse 21. The Lord said, here is a place near me. You are to stand on the rock, and when my glory passes by, I will put you in the crevice of the rock and cover you with my hand until I pass by. Then I will take my hand away, and you will see my back, but my face will not be seen. So this is kind of the prep work. Let's go to 34. Verse 1, the Lord said to Moses, cut 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and I will write on them the words that were on the first tablets which you wrote. Be prepared by morning. Come up to Mount Sinai in the morning and stand before me on the mountain top. No one may go up with you. In fact, no one must be seen anywhere on the mountain. Even the flocks, the herds, are not to graze in front of that mountain. Moses cut 2 stone tablets like the first one. He got up early in the morning, and taking the 2 stone tablets in his hands, he climbed Mount Sinai just as the Lord had commanded him. Now what's interesting about this is that the first tablets, remember, God prepared those, God cut those, and God wrote upon those. And here Moses cut these tablets. So let's see, verse 5. The Lord came down in a cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed his name, Yahweh. Then the Lord passed in front of him and proclaimed, Yahweh, Yahweh is compassionate and gracious, God slow to anger and rich in faithful love and truth, maintaining faithful love to 1,000 generations, forgiving wrongdoing, rebellion, and sin. But he will not leave the guilty unpunished, bringing the consequences of the father's wrongdoings on the children and the grandchildren, the 3rd and 4th generation. Now again, we to understand this statement, in other words, it's, do the children and grandchildren get punished for what their grandparents did, or what their parents did? That's not what he's saying. The idea here is when a person continues in that sin, when they continue in that sin, and that's what happens, that you, even now, you think about the generations that keep up, whether it's sin, whether it's crime, right? They continue in that. That's what he's referring to. So that's what he punished. So he's not saying that if your grandfather was a murderer, then God is going to then hold you responsible for that. That's not what he's saying here. But if you continue in that your grandfather's sin, then yes, God will hold you responsible for it. Verse 8. Moses immediately bowed down to the ground and worshiped. Then he said, "My Lord, if I indeed found favor in your sight, my Lord, please go with us. Even though this is a stiff-necked people, forgive our wrongdoing and sin, and accept us as your own possession." And the Lord responded, "Look, I'm making a covenant. I will perform wonders in the presence of all of your people that have never been done in all the earth or in any nations. All the people you live among will see the Lord's work. For what I am doing with you is an awe-inspiring. Observe what I command you today. I'm going to drive out before you the Amorites, Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and the Jebusites." Now, of course, we're going to see that he's constantly repeating the covenant and the promises of the covenant, the giving of the land. Okay. Verse 12, "Be careful not to make a treaty with the inhabitants of the land that you are going to enter. Otherwise, they will become a snare among you." Now, Joshua will actually do this, make this mistake of making a treaty with some people that he should not make a treaty with, but they will deceive him. Now, Israel during that lifetime will not follow their idols, but notice God is saying right here, this is the strict thing. Do not make a covenant with these people. These pagan idolaters, they're very extremely sinful. Verse 13, "Instead you must tear down their altars, smash their sacred pillars, and chop down their Asherah poles. You are never to bow down to another god, because Yahweh, being jealous by nature, is a jealous God." And what does he mean by being jealous? Now, this is kind of interesting to understand here. The word jealous itself. Now, sometimes we confuse the word jealous. We confuse the word jealous with envy. Okay, so we need to understand that we can confuse the word jealous with envy. Envy means to lust after someone, to have an evil. In other words, when I say I envy somebody, here someone gets a new car, then I envy them. That means I wish it was me that had that car, not them. I don't wish them good. The word jealous, and oftentimes you see the word zealous, but jealous and zealous can be used as the same. But it simply means to burn hot toward. To burn hot toward. So that in a proper relationship, right, your feelings, let's say for example a man and a wife. So your feelings, a man can have strong and intense feelings for his wife, and vice versa, wife towards the husband. When either one give those feelings to another, right? That's what he means by that. You're not, the proper exchange is not happening. So that's what he means by that in terms of jealous, that God is, when he says he's a jealous God, you are not to give any kind of worship. They already done this with the golden calf. Okay. But that's what he means by that. So that's what I'm saying. So the idea here is to try to understand that Israel belonged to God, and the worship was only to be given towards God. And again, they had already sinned by the golden calf. All right. Verse 15. Do not make a treaty with the inhabitants of the land, or else when they prostitute themselves with their gods and sacrifice to their gods, they will invite you, and you will eat their sacrifices. Then you will take some of their daughters as brides for your sons, and their daughters will prostitute themselves with their gods and cause your sons to prostitute themselves with their gods. We will see this as we move forward in our study. Verse 17. Do not make cast images of gods for yourself. They've already done that with the golden calf. But these are the covenants. He's again saying the thing of the covenant. We're going to see this repeated several times by the time we get to Joshua, the book of Joshua. Verse 18, observe the festivals of unleavened bread. You are to eat unleavened bread for 7 days and appoint time in the month of Ibit, as I command you, for you came out of Egypt in the month of Ibit. The firstborn male of every womb belongs to me, including your male livestock and firstborn and cattle of sheep. You must redeem the firstborn of a donkey with the sheep, but if you do not redeem it, break its neck. You must redeem all the firstborn of your sons. No one is to appear before me empty-handed. Now, this is going to change. We will see this change later on to the tribe of Levi only. He's already stated it, but he hasn't just officially changed it yet. Verse 21, you are to labor 6 days, but you must rest on the 7th day. You must even rest during plowing and harvest time. Now, you may ask, why is he repeating this? Keep this in mind that and this is, again, I'm going to say this is part of my guess. He's writing this on the tablet, the second set of tablets that that Moses made. Verse 22, observe the festival of weeks with the first fruits of the wheat harvest and the festival of ingathering at the turn of the agricultural year. 3 times a year, all of you males are to appear before the Lord God, the God of Israel, for I will drive out of nations before you and enlarge your territory. No one will covet your land when you go up 3 times a year to appear before the Lord your God. Now, that's a very interesting point because, when everybody travels to Jerusalem, okay, and appear before the Lord, then what about their land? What about their homes? The elderly may not be able to travel. God is going to be there to protect them. Verse 25, do not present the blood for sacrifice with anything leavened. Remember, leavened is anything that's seasoned, any kind of season. The sacrifice of the Passover festival must not remain until the morning. Bring the best of the first fruits of your land to the house of the Lord your God. You must not boil a young goat in its mother's milk. The Lord also said to Moses, write down these words, for I have made a covenant with you and with Israel based on these words. And Moses was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights. He did not eat bread or drink water, and he wrote the 10 commandments, the words of the covenant, on the tablets. And as Moses descended from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hands, and as he descended from the mountain, he did not realize that the skin of his face shone as a result of speaking with the Lord. And when Aaron and all the Israelites saw Moses, the skin of his face shone. They were afraid and to come near him, but Moses called out to them. So Aaron and all the leaders of the community returned to him, and Moses spoke to them. Afterwards, the Israelites came near, and he commanded them to do everything the Lord had told him on Mount Sinai. When Moses had finished speaking with them, he put the veil over his face. But whenever Moses went before the Lord to speak with him, he would remove the veil until he came out. Afterwards he came out, he would tell the Israelites what he had been commanded. And the Israelites would see that Moses' face was radiant. Then Moses would put the veil over his face again until he went to speak with the Lord. Now again, sort of just a phenomenal thing that happened here. So first we see God appearing to Moses. He's seen the backside of God. He didn't see the face. But then as he comes down, he doesn't realize that his face is literally shining. People kind of look at kind of like, and Moses like, he's doing a, what y'all looking at? Your face, Paul would later tell us that the reason why he would put the veil over his face so that the people would not see the fading of the glory. That for that time, that God wanted them to see the continual shining of his face, a continual symbol of the covenant. So, but even after all of this, they're still going to sin. All right, guys, we're going to pick it up with chapter 35 in the next study. We'll see you then.